Two. Hey, everybody, my name is Wayman Daniels, and I'm the host of Level Up. We have a very special guest today, Fox News anchor Ashley Garrett. Hi, Ashley, how are you?
Everybody, how y'all doing today? Happy Wednesday. Everybody's feeling good.
It's good to have you. I know you're working, so we might get interrupted in between. But let's talk. Let's get started because I know your time is very valuable. Can you tell our viewers about Ashley Garrett? Who are you as the news anchor at Fox News?
Oh, sure. I have no problem doing that. Yeah, I joined the Fox Carolina News team as one of the morning show co-anchors here in December of last year. And it has been an absolutely just wonderful experience. Before coming here to Greenville, that's where we're located, the Fox Carolina studios, I was actually at the ABC affiliate in Savannah, Georgia, WJCO. I was there for 3 years. Prior to that, I was at the CBS affiliate in Columbus, Georgia, WRBO, and I was there for 3 years, maybe a little more. And then prior to that, I was also in Columbus, but that's this time I was in the ABC affiliate station. That's WTBM. Did that 2 years, and then prior to that, I was in the Orlando market. Orlando is where I'm originally from. I was behind the scenes at West 2 News. So this is my fifth station. I've worn many different hats. When I first got into the business in October of 2012, gosh, October of this year is going to make 10 years. But when I first got into the business, I mentioned I started behind the scenes. I was doing like the most intermediate level position in the newsroom, and it's called associate producer. And what the usually do is write for producers. Producers are the folks that craft the show. So I did that for about 2.5+ years before moving on to my second station, where I actually became a producer, and I'm the person who's crafting the shows at this point. Station, I moved on to my third station, finally getting my first professional opportunity to be on air. I was hired on as the morning show reporter, but it was a one-man band reporter. They call it MMJ, multimedia. Meaning I'm carrying all that heavy behind equipment. I'm shooting it. I'm writing it. I'm editing. I'm doing everything for myself. Before getting promoted at that same station to Nightside MMJ, which is a more primetime show. A lot of breaking news in that show. It's a lot of high energy, more intensity kind of show. Before also being promoted at that same station as a weekend anchor / producer, meaning I'm sitting on the desk delivering the news for a show that I put together. And then also, so I did that about 2 days a week on the weekends, and then 3 days a week I would MMJ. So I'm just a constant juggling act at that point. Before working my way up to one of the main day anchor roles at my fourth station. And then now I'm one of the main anchors here at Fox Carolina. So I know that was a mouthful, but in short, that are the hats I'm wearing getting here.
But you know what? It's beautiful because it shows me that you know how to start from let's not use the word bottom because it's not the bottom.
We could.
Well, I didn't want to use that word, but we're starting from the bottom and work your way up so you know what it's like to put in that hard work.
Absolutely.
And so when you get to the place you're at now, you can appreciate where you come from.
Bingo.
And that's great because it shows me that you have perseverance. But also, let's talk about your educational background. You went to FAMU.
Yeah, shout out to Atlas. I believe that orange and green. Seven Hills, that's Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, founded October 3rd, 1887. I graduated April 28th, 2012. I'm proud Florida A&M graduate. So shout out to the Rattlers out there. I studied broadcast journalism, and I got my first job. Graduated in April of 2012. Got my first job in October of 2012. I'll be honest with you. I was a little lackadaisical when I graduated. I wasn't really hitting the ground running like I should have, trying to secure a job. I thought folks were supposed to come to me and knock on my door. I wasn't as humble now. But then I had a big old slice of humble pie and had a mini chats with my mom and daddy because I was living in their house still. And then we got the ball rolling and did what needed to be done. Go ahead and start the fast track to my career.
Well, you know what? When I was listening to you talk about FAMU, of course, we talked about this prior to coming on.
Yeah.
Everybody, I'm a Florida State Seminole guy. So me and her, we okay with as long as we're in the state of Florida. But it sounds like to me Yeah, talk about it.
Let me touch on that for a moment. No
Okay.
shade. These Seminoles, okay?
Yeah.
What no shade,
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah. That's right.
Um, because y'all don't do nothing but hop over across the tracks and come over to Florida and kick it with us on Friday. There's y'all Weezy, y'all way to the calf and things of that nature. So
Yes.
really our family at the end of the day. Good old Tallahassee family. But go
So
ahead.
when you say you use this very, very great word, which I like, family.
Yes.
And so this is what the Level Up Show is all about. It's all about encouraging family and encouraging our community. And so when you talk about the collegiate community and family, and
Mm-hmm.
you were talking about college, can you let our viewers know what your college experience was like and why did you choose journalism?
Well, my mom will tell you, she's probably watching this live right now, Sherry Garrett,
Okay.
uh, will tell you that from the age of 6, I
Mm-hmm.
had her and my family that I was going to be on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when I got to FAMU, I was 18. It was end of 2007. I learned that broadcast journalism was a degree,
Mm-hmm.
a career path that would be um, what I determined at the time easily um, accessed, a way for me to explore the TV world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't much beyond that in terms of my process getting into the business. I just knew I wanted to be on TV, and that was
Mm-hmm.
the thing in my mind that was closest to being able to get me to my goal.
Right,
And
right.
once I got into the field of broadcast journalism, and I started learning the hustle and bustle behind the industry, I quickly learned that that is something that I personally thrive off of. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
somebody who sit behind a computer screen 24/7 and just do my 8 hours and things of that nature. I need a whole lot going on all day, and my does that all the
Right.
time. No day is the same. So
Right, right.
finish my shift, especially on a day like today, I'm like, when? Because it's a lot going on. Marathon, you got to really like pace yourself to get
Mm-hmm.
through. But
Right.
I absolutely love it. It's an adrenaline rush that I crave every single day, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ashley, let's talk about this because being a news reporter and also being in the limelight, how do you stay neutral and not allow the stories to be and take the stories home where it affects you in such a way that you walk around? Because some people can get depressed from a stress-filled job. How do
And
you keep it? Talk to us about that.
yes, sir, I have definitely been a victim of that.
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage folks who are in my business and they haven't considered what I'm about to say
Mm-hmm.
to consider it. Therapy is a good resource to take
Mm-hmm.
advantage, and it can be costly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but you may want to see if your job offers opportunities like an EAP, an employment
Okay.
assistance program,
Mm-hmm.
because if that's the case, you may be able to have some free resources in terms of therapy available.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Also, I should have said this first and foremost, lean on my walk with Christ. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
Christian. My family has raised me to be a Christian. I went
Mm-hmm.
to private school, Christian school, from like kindergarten up until 6th grade. So I'm very aware of what it means
Mm-hmm.
to be a follower of Christ and how he protects his children. So I try to
Mm-hmm.
know, keep that in the forefront of my mind too. Anytime I may encounter a tough news day or any
Mm-hmm.
rough day in general. And also my very supportive family. You got to have community. You can't do it on your own. Even
Mm-hmm.
the most sane person, I would suggest having someone to communicate what you're going through, someone you trust to be able to vent to,
Mm-hmm.
because if you keep it all bottled in, there's potential for it to come out in other ways, unhealthy ways, whether
Mm-hmm.
that be speaking negatively, and energy is transferable. So if I'm speaking negatively to somebody all the time, then there's potential for that to rub off on somebody else, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the last thing that you want.
Yeah.
You be able to uplift and be positive, and you want the same to be given and received. Uh, so yeah, there's a number of things that you can
Mm-hmm.
do. But I will tell you that it has been tough. Like, I love what I do, but there are tough days associated with what I do as well. When we just had the Uvalde shooting
Mm-hmm.
in Texas, where the
Right.
gunman went to the school last month and he gunned down 19 kids and 2 adults.
Right.
That was very hard to process. It's even emotional talking about it right now for
Mm-hmm.
me. But there was a moment in our coverage when I actually cried on the air.
Right.
And for me, when I was younger, first getting into the business, I would kind of beat myself up if I felt like I had a moment of weakness. But now that I'm older, I'm learning that it's okay for me to show my human side when I do my job on the
Mm-hmm.
air. Because people most relate to people who do what people do.
Right,
People
right.
people have emotions, and sometimes those emotions come out, and sometimes that's in the form of crying. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, it just happened to do it when I was on the clock and live on the air.
Right, right.
You have your moments, but there are healthy ways to go about dealing with it. I guess that's
Mm-hmm.
the way to answer that question.
Well, you know what? I'm going back. I have a memory of recall.
Uh-huh.
And my recall takes me back to God, family, and community.
Hmm.
And without God, do you believe you will be where you're at now?
Absolutely not.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And I know folks watching may not be men or women of Christ, and they may not
Hmm.
follow God. And that's your choice. But I would just say for me, had it not been for God,
Hmm.
there's no way I could be where I am today.
Well, let's go back. We did family. We said hi, mom. How you doing, Miss
Yeah,
Garrett?
probably,
And we did God and family.
yes.
So, what role did the community play in Ashley Garrett becoming a national news anchor for Fox News?
We are just a very supportive family.
Hmm.
I would just tell you from the time I was a child, my
Hmm.
me and my sister Amber very active, not just in school, but in
Hmm.
extracurricular activities as well, whether that be in the church, in the choir, or,
Hmm.
my sister would do ballet. She and I would do ballet. My parents
Hmm.
were at every recital. Uh,
Okay.
Sister would play soccer. I would play basketball. She was big in cheerleading. Whatever we were involved with, our parents were there. So that's a
Hmm.
system. Just lets you know that what you're doing matters.
Okay.
And even to this day, I'm 33 years old. My sister, she just turned 29 back in April. We have
Hmm.
a text, me, my sister, my mom, and my dad, and we're always just sharing positive
Hmm.
words, and just so we can just carry positivity throughout our days.
Yes.
Anything is worthy of being celebrated that we deem that's worthy of being celebrated, we might share the family group text. And everybody's like, "Yeah, you go, girl. All right, Team Garrett, let's go. Woo, 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 woo. Y'all did it." Looking forward to always celebrating each other.
Yes. You're
And
right.
I think that's what's missing
Hmm.
in families and in people in general. People don't feel like what they do matter. They feel like they don't
Right.
matter. And I think without us even trying to make that a thing,
Hmm.
my family does things to avoid that from happening. We
Right.
always make everyone know you matter.
Hmm. Well, Ashley, I heard this word, man, and you got to be careful when you talk to me because I cipher and go in there and pick out a word. I heard you say you can sing. As I said sang. I didn't say sing. I said sang.
Now,
Sing.
when did you hear me say that? In this
Well, you said my sister and I used to sing, do ballet. Oh, yes. Should I play the tape back?
interview, ballet is dancing.
Yeah. But see, you just skipped past the singing part. You went right to ballet. Well,
I cannot sing.
oh, you can't sing? Oh,
No.
let me play the tape back. Let me play. Hold on. My producer's going to rewind the tape.
Now I will say I like to carry a tune, but just because I like to carry a tune don't mean I can sing.
Well, that's right. You said the choir.
Choir, okay, yes, 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 yes. But again, just because people sign you up for the choir don't mean you can sing, baby. How many
Okay. I was, uh,
fools a fool in the choir? I'm not people. Wait, mom.
okay, guys. I was trying. Hey, everybody. I was trying to get her to sing us a song. But
Let me tell you, I can catch me carrying a tune though. When y'all get a chance on Facebook, y'all can follow me on Ashley Garrett TV News,
yeah.
and I always go behind the scenes during our Fox Carolina newscast. We run
Mhm.
4:30 to 10 a.m. Friday, and
Mhm.
Monday through Friday at 6:30 a.m. on the Ashley Garrett TV News Facebook page. I go live giving behind the scenes.
Hold on a
There,
minute. Ashley. Let me.
you might be able to catch me drop a tune or carry some lyrics or 2.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Lights flashing everywhere and doing it again.
No, I ain't tripping. You know what? With live TV and live podcasts and things of that nature,
Yes.
sometimes you never know what you're gonna get. It's like a box of chocolates, child.
It's like a box. I think I heard this guy say that by the name of Forrest Gump. Life is
You
like a box,
from
like a
never
box of chocolate.
boy. I stole it
Yeah.
from. Yeah.
And so now We talked about that. So we're gonna actually talk to our viewers, those that want to become a journalist,
Yes.
those that have dreams and ambition. I want you to talk to them, that girl, that young man that wants to succeed, but doesn't know how to succeed, doesn't have the hope. Talk to them and encourage them. How can they become a journalist?
It is not gonna be easy, but
Mm-hmm,
anything is easy, you probably don't want it because you're not
mm-hmm,
gonna appreciate it that much.
mm-hmm,
I will just give you. I'll try to summarize the story, but it tends to go long, so just bear with
mm-hmm,
me. When I first got into the business in October of 2012, I told you I was doing the most intermediate level position in the newsroom, which
mm-hmm.
is a producer. But I did not mention to you that I was working part time with a degree,
Okay.
making an hour, probably working like 28 hours at most a week.
Mm-hmm.
So I would literally at some points get off of that part-time job and go to my other part-time job, which was a promotions assistant for a local radio station. It used to be called 102 Jams in Orlando. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Dollars an hour again with a degree, and then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes go from that job, the second job, in one day to my third job, working as a sales associate at a clothing store, making like just under $8,
Mm-hmm.
and again with a degree. So, also living at home with my mama and daddy for like 2 years, which was a struggle because it's like, well, dang, you go to school, you
Right.
invest in stuff, and you expect to right out the gate be living your career that you've put so much into, but it doesn't always happen like that. But you still got to stick to your plan. You still got
Right.
to, hit the ground running and do what you got to do so that you can reach your goal and let it come into fruition. So
Mm-hmm.
after literally doing that marathon, getting off one job, going to the next, making pennies.
Right.
Okay. I finally got a full-time job as a producer,
Mm-hmm.
crafting the shows now. But they tried to get me there going from Orlando to Columbus, Georgia at 25 grand a year, Waymon. And I
Wow.
said, um, I'm coming from Orlando. I'm
Mm-hmm.
coming from not only just the city, but I'm also
Right.
coming at the time a top 20 market. And the
Mm-hmm.
way markets work in television, the lower the number, the bigger the coverage area. So right out
Right.
of school, I'm going to an area that's broadcasting to more than a million homes in the Central Florida area, and you're trying to get me to come to you, a small
Right.
market, at 25K a year. I'm like, y'all got to do more than that.
Right. Right.
So negotiate is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing today. Fight for yourself, because if you don't fight for you, who gonna fight for you?
That's right.
But me fighting for myself got me a little bit better.
Right.
I went from 25
Right.
27.5 a
Right.
year. Okay.
Right. Right. Right.
Then the year 2014 basically still broke. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay because I was like, I'm going here, and I know by the time I leave here, I'm gonna be a household name. People gonna know my
Right.
name.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So like, I'm gonna just take this little temporary struggle. Struggle before making pennies in Orlando. You know how to survive, so you can do it again.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I voiced my aspirations to my hiring manager at the time that I wanted to be on camera. I'm gonna take this job knowing that if I come in here and I prove myself, you're gonna give me an opportunity to be on camera. This is what
Mm-hmm.
okay. And he's
Right.
like, oh, yeah, we got somebody here, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
is doing, producing what you're going to be doing. And they're going to be, they also work in a hybrid type of format, and they
Mm-hmm.
work for this time and they do reporter. I know that's what you want to do. There's opportunity for you to do that too. I'm like, all right, great. All of this is being voiced. That taught me moving forward, get everything in writing because you
Right. Right.
be a dream. Every
Right.
I'm having a meeting with you, you're basically telling me that, yeah, sure, there's some things to work on, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, this. I like your work ethic, I like your attitude, and I see growth in this part of your producing and things of that nature. Okay. And so now I'm going to partner you up with so and so to help you with your reporting. We're doing all these trials,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing is coming about with it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I thank him for still even allowing me an opportunity to be full time. So I wish I would have got things in writing, but I'm still thankful to him for giving me an opportunity. Because
Mm-hmm.
had you not given me an opportunity, you wouldn't have had a hand in where I am today. So I'm thankful.
Right.
But he ended up getting a better opportunity, leaving us in Columbus. And then the next manager that came in was very clear about him not liking almost anything that I was doing in my role. Anytime you're calling me in my office or
Mm-hmm.
in this, that's my coworker Margaret. Everybody say, hey, hey, Margaret.
Hey, hey, you. How you doing?
I had told them. I told them that people going in and out. Okay. But anyway, yeah, he was very clear about not
Mm-hmm.
liking that I was doing in my role. And
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about every time he calls me in my office, I'm basically feeling like I'm going to lose my job. This was
Right.
basically for the better part of a year, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even longer. Okay.
Okay.
So you got me being far away from home, me feeling like I'm going to lose my job, me
Mm-hmm.
not doing what I set out to do, and that's to be on camera. I'm
Mm-hmm.
literally miserable, but I just kept leaning on God and my family to see me through. Okay.
Yeah.
So in the midst of all this that's going on, I'm seeing this commercial on TV, and it was for the Bread of Life Church. Bread of Life Church. This
Mm-hmm.
is the thing that would come up. It would always come up, but I would never really pay too much attention to it. Not a whole lot of
Okay.
attention. Keep that in mind, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I eventually get moved to weekends because they feel like I'm not strong enough. This manager that came in to handle the hustle and bustle of the more faster paced shows. So they're
Mm-hmm.
like, "We're gonna work with you. We're gonna put you on weekend shows." Okay, so I
Right.
go on weekend shows, and then what happens? The numbers start to do better. Okay,
Okay.
they have new people that's coming in, and then the same manager that rips me a new one, for lack of a better term, every time
Right.
he comes
Right.
to the office. He's like, I need you to train this one. So and so wants to go from production to being a producer. They want to go from audio to being a producer. I need you to sit with them and get them to where you are. So
Right.
and so produced before. I need you to teach them everything you know. But if you're ripping me a new one every day, why do you
Right.
want me to teach them? This is
Right.
teaching me to take constructive criticism. Like out of every piece of criticism, whether it's negative,
Mm-hmm.
there's some kind of constructive criticism that you can
Mm-hmm.
typically take from that.
Right.
So that's what I was taking from that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to the point where it's time to determine what's going to happen with my future. We're getting to the end of my 2-year contract. My manager
Mm-hmm.
sits me down with my general manager. My general manager, she's like, oh, she's trying to butter me up. I like your shoes. I like your dress. I'm like, thank you, girl. She's like, oh, your hair is pretty. I'm like, oh, probably going to get some good news. She's doing all this love, right?
Right.
Uh, the whole time I'm getting all this buttered up, but this
Mm-hmm.
buttered up type of situation. My news director, he's over here. He's like just talking on the computer. He's not
Right.
engaged at all. Like he's not
Mm-hmm.
engaged at all until he turns around and he looks at me. He said, "We just called you in here to let you know that we're not going to extend your contract."
Wow.
I
Wow.
said, "Okay, mind you, my contract ends beginning of July
Right.
2016, and he's telling me this mid-May,
Wow.
July 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing lined up. Okay."
Mm-hmm.
Um, So I have a bit of a panic. I'm not having a panic in front of him. I'm keeping my
Right.
cool. Never let people see you sweat.
Right.
Uh, so I just let him know once that conversation wrapped up that I thank you for your time. I thank you for your patience with me. And let's ride out the rest of this contract and in the
Mm-hmm.
way that we all can.
Right.
And if anything comes up, I'll be able to keep y'all posted. We'll just be staying in constant communication so everybody's in the loop with whatever happens between
Right.
now contract. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we know you're gonna communicate with us as best you can. And yeah, so that was that. Went to my car, I literally boo-hoo cried the whole way home. I
Mm-hmm.
think I screamed on the Interstate 85 going to Flat Rock Road in Columbia,
Mm-hmm.
Georgia. That might be familiar with that area. And I'm like, okay, have your day today. But
Mm-hmm.
again, mid-May and your contract ends early July. So have your
Right.
day today. But then we got to figure out what's going on.
Right. Right.
And y'all, the commercial for Bread of Life came on again.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And now I'm locked in because
Right.
I'm at this point feeling, I guess you could call it hopeless,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'm like, well, let me go ahead to church. Why we always do that? Anytime something bad, that's
Right.
want to go to church and get close to
Right.
the Lord. Why can't we just stay close to him through the
Mm-hmm.
bad to say all that so that
Right.
we can, have our spirits uplifted no
Mm-hmm.
matter what kind of storm comes through,
That's
right?
right. Right.
Oh, but we humans sometimes we fall get victim of the flesh, and
Right.
that's what y'all. I got back in church, Bread and Life in Columbia. Shout out to the Skinners. The late Bishop Skinner, he passed away. I want to say that was last year, but he had a big hand in
Mm-hmm.
encouraging me and motivating me to push myself to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say one of my first times going to Bread of Life, there was an altar call when they
Okay.
come up front and they pray over you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so they put the holy oil on me, and by the time it was time to pray over me, it got real loud. And
Mm-hmm.
oh, she just needs to be patient for whatever you're gonna do for her, God. Whatever you have for her, God, it's gonna be so big, and she can't see it right now. But just allow her to be patient for what's to come. And
Mm-hmm.
they going all crazy. You've probably been a witness to something like this, and
Yes.
I'm trying to be present in the moment and kind of
Mm-hmm.
like allow myself to um, feel what's happening, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the midst of what's happening, and I get emotional every time I tell this story. Um, it was hard.
Yes. Yes.
I was broke.
Mm-hmm.
I was away from my family. I was in love at the time. My boyfriend was in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being told I can't every day, and it was really hard. So it was hard to be in the moment when I guess God was giving the people a word for me.
Right.
So but I still just try to stay consistent and go to church as much as I can. So I'm going to Bible study every Wednesday, and we're doing all these kind of exercises, and I'm getting closer to seeing what's to come. I can't
Mm-hmm.
say what exactly it is, but I'm being shown things like dates, like May 30th. It was either May 30th or May 31st of 2016,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew on that day I was gonna get some good news.
Right. Right.
So uh, I'm like, okay, again, we're racing against the clock, and
Mm-hmm.
your contract's about to end. So let's reach out to these other stations in the
Right.
market.
Mm-hmm.
Non-compete contract for my producer role.
Mm-hmm.
How that works is until a full year passes, when your contract ends, you cannot do that same role in in that same market.
Right.
But the way things were going at my station, my job thought I was so bad, like they didn't even really care
Mm-hmm. Right. 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 Right.
where I went because they didn't feel like I was a threat, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So now to the number two station, I was at the number one station in the market at the
Mm-hmm.
time. I reached out to the number two station, and I remember putting my two best shows together, putting
Mm-hmm.
it they call reels and or A blocks, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just like a big chunk of one of your good shows. I
Mm-hmm.
put two of those together, and I sent it to the number two
Right.
station. I sent it to the number three station. Number three station took the bait with me. They were like, "Hey, I would love to be able to sit down and talk with you, but I'm actually on my way out. So I'm like leaving that station. So she's
Mm-hmm.
not higher. But she wished me all the best. I thanked her for
Right.
that. Number two station also took the bait. They like, listen, hey, I filled my open producer role, but
Mm-hmm.
what I see here, let's have lunch.
Right.
And I might be able to maybe put you in contact with another station
Right.
within my parent company.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I want to mention at the time, May is a month that's very important for our ratings. We call it sweeps.
Okay.
And she was a boss, she was a news director, and she was willing to have lunch with me during this very important time for news. So
Mm-hmm. Right.
let's have lunch, okay?
Right.
So lunch with her, we talk about everything under the sun. We talk about being in news. We talk about being women in news, women of God in news, going from
Mm-hmm.
to in front of the camera. And then there's at some point when she's talking and it sounds like womp, 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 like not trying to be disrespectful, like almost like an adult like situation.
Right.
I felt the Holy Spirit come over me and said, tell her now. Like tell her what you want to do now.
Right.
And so I'm like, I waited for her to stop talking. I said, not to be rude, ma'am, but can I just keep
Right.
it real? Because I like
Right.
this. I like real with folks.
Right. Right. Right.
I said, well, yeah. I said, well, I said, for the longest time, I've been trying to get on the air professionally.
Mm-hmm.
I said, all these field reporter internships, I've done anchor roles while I was in school. I broadcast to more than 80,000 homes in I think North Georgia and parts of Florida as well at the time when I was broadcasting for the news station at school, Family TV 20. And that's my boss texting me right now. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. I'll get with her in a moment. And like I'm just looking for a chance to be able to do this professionally. And she said, well, so you're saying you want to be on camera? I said,
Right.
yes.
Right.
She said, well, we do have a morning reporter opening. I
Okay.
said, she said, yeah, I do. She said,
Mm.
but you haven't been on the air since school. And when was that? Like 2012, the latest time that you were in school? At this time, it was coming up on, it was May 2016. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, well, can you get me a new tape together? I said, can you give me to the weekend? Because I was working as a weekend producer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know, it's not a whole lot of management involved. And ain't going to be a
Right.
whole lot in my business.
Mm-hmm.
And weekend crew that I was producing for, we was tight knit. So
Right.
I know snitch on me, right?
Right.
So my reporter, I remember staying with him one night till like 2 a.m. after the show
Mm-hmm.
ended at like 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, putting a tape together. He
Right.
went out with me. We went and shot stuff. We went and
Right.
I wrote stuff, and then he showed me how to track and edit
Mm-hmm.
the software that we were using at the station because it was different from what I was using at in school.
Okay.
So thankful to him for helping me out as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then I heard that tape,
Right.
and she responded to that tape. It was
Mm-hmm.
a date that either God has shown me. It was either May 30th or May 31st. I always forget which date it was, but
Right.
on that God has shown me is
Mm-hmm.
when my boss, the lady who would become my boss, wrote me and
Yeah.
said, "I've seen enough to know that I want to move forward to see
Right.
what we need to do to avoid any issues with your non-compete contract."
Right. Right. Right.
Now I know this story getting long, but let me just go ahead and let you know that it was no issue with my non-compete contract because remember my non-compete contract was for a producer role. I
Right.
was being on camera.
Right. Right. Right.
See how I was in the midst working that
Right.
whole
Right.
thing? Baby, once we got past that, it was like every day. We figured out no
Yeah.
legal issues.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, let's do an interview. Let's have you come in. I
Mm-hmm.
came, I met with everybody under the sun. I met with the current morning show reporter who was about to move up in his career. I met
Mm-hmm.
with the morning show producer. I obviously met with my news director who set up this whole thing. Met
Mm-hmm.
with the manager. Make a long story short, it's not. I don't know why people say that because the story always be long. But anyway, she told me after that interview that
Mm-hmm.
the general manager said, "Hurry up and hire her before somebody else gets her."
Right. Right.
Now I'm going from a situation where people telling me I'm basically trash,
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
my work sucks, to now
Right.
people like, what we waiting on? Let's get
Right.
the ball.
Right.
Okay, so they ended up hiring me, but again, it was a small market, and
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really strong on my negotiating skills.
Mm-hmm.
I went from making 27.5 to 28, but I didn't even care because
Right.
finally being able to do what I set out to do,
Mm-hmm.
and that be on camera. So
Right.
I'm like literally beaming. I'm going there. I'm giving them my all every
Right. Right.
single day, 100,000% every day. I'm
Right.
giving
Right.
that right, and
Mm-hmm.
it's showing and it's looking good on camera.
Right.
I'm breaking stories,
Right.
breaking the market, including the station that tried to tell me I was trash. I'm beating
Right.
y'all fine and
Right.
breaking. Okay,
Right. Right.
this to that. And you know what? I also go back to another thing that my
Mm-hmm.
pastor and bishop would tell me in church. God is going to make it a way for you to be able to feast in front of your enemies,
That's
and
right. Right.
really put in a position to really shine. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
grateful. That was WRBL in Columbus that put me
Yeah.
in a position to shine. Because had they not done that, um,
Right.
that was really the turning point for my
Mm-hmm.
career. And
That's
those
right.
people are my family today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we did that, y'all. We were still broke, uh, but we're living out loud at this
Right.
point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being recognized in such a way that I'm moving up to now weekend anchor producer, and
Mm-hmm.
with that came a bump in pay too, but just a
Right.
small little hiccup.
Right.
Um,
Right.
28 to 30K.
So yeah. Yeah.
I got rent, I got
Mm-hmm.
car note, I
Right.
got
Right.
groceries, I got a phone
Mm-hmm.
to pay. I'm
Right.
a normal human being, and
Right.
somehow I still made it a way for me to not lose out on
Right.
my car. I never
Right.
got put out of my home. I always
Mm-hmm.
had a meal to eat, even though
Right.
wasn't desirable. Me and Wendy's 4 for 4 got real acquainted. Um, I, my bills got paid. I'm able to get
Yes.
$50 to my name every 2 weeks.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that you would think would be a hard pill to swallow, but God
Mm-hmm.
still always provided. I never was in need of anything. I
Right.
never was what I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
So we do so well there that and I'm always promoting myself too. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always pushing my stuff out on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, Instagram,
Right,
LinkedIn.
right.
So if you're not on LinkedIn, get on that now. I'm pushing
Yeah.
myself out. I was on Twitter at the time, Snapchat, anywhere that
Mm-hmm.
I could, YouTube, anywhere I
Right,
could
right,
put myself out. I was putting myself
right.
out there. So then I ended up getting recognized by a news director in Savannah, and
Mm-hmm.
that was like, I'm wanting you to be interested in my opening for a main anchor morning role. And I'm like,
Right.
dang, I'm already in a small market. Columbus, Savannah
Mm-hmm.
is not that huge.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very transparent with him. I said,
Right.
so considering all that in mind, I'm gonna just be very blunt with you and
Mm-hmm.
ask you, how much does the job pay?
Right.
And I told God, while I was looking for a job, going from WRBL to
Mm-hmm.
wherever I was gonna go next, I put a number out there because I
Right.
was getting advice. Like people were coming to me because I was putting myself out there,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't giving me that number. I had told God I must make going into the age of 30. I'm 29, finna be 30. I'm like, I
Right.
must be making at least this. I'm not
Right.
accepting
Right.
moving forward.
Right.
And so I'm like talking to this man in
Mm-hmm.
Savannah, news director for the ABC affiliate at the time. He's no longer there. He said, "Oh, we don't start below the same number I told God that I must make going into the age of 30."
Right. Right. Right.
We can talk. We can
Yeah.
talk.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
we got to talking, and obviously the
Mm-hmm.
talk was good because I did 3 years with them,
Right.
and it was a wonderful 3 years
Mm-hmm.
for my career. Y'all didn't see what was going on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I literally had to be armored up. The team there was not it was not a loving community.
Right.
Um, every day there's mess, there's drama,
Mm-hmm.
there's gossip, which you have a lot of times in news stations anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And really maybe on every other job there is to have, it's a lot of mess. But
Mm-hmm.
this was like day in and day out for the better part of
Right.
maybe 2.5+ years. Okay, it's just a
Mm-hmm.
culture at the station where I came from that's
Right.
very negative. It kind of tended to wear on me, but I still
Mm-hmm.
pushed and still delivered every single day because that's just the kind of
Right.
person I am. That's just the
Mm-hmm.
way that my family has raised me to be and the way that God has crafted me to be too.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's time to talk about what's going to happen with my future with this station. This was
Right.
the end around November, ended October, going into November because my contract there ended December 1st. And I'm gonna just be real with y'all. When it comes to me, where I am in my career right now, you got to pay to be able to play, and if you ain't gonna
Right.
pay, I'm on my way.
Right.
So we were discussing figures, and it was. I'm gonna be real with you. It was very disrespectful to me.
Right. Right.
It was very disrespectful to me. I
Mm-hmm.
know what I bring to the table. I know how I show up and show out every single day.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot just throw numbers out there and think I'm a bite
Right.
that I got to settle at this point because I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm aware of that. So I didn't have anything lined up, but I knew it wasn't going to take long for where
Right.
I am for people to bite.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
and that's exactly what happened. My
Mm-hmm.
boss who here, she had been reaching out to me for quite some time via email, and I had my phone number on my email, and
Mm-hmm.
she would be texting and stuff. She was very pressed. Okay,
Right. Right.
I'm like, dang, Greenville. I was at from Savannah going to Greenville.
Yeah.
Greenville, not a lot bigger than Savannah
Mm-hmm.
in size, but it still ain't no top market like what I thought I would be going to coming from Savannah.
Right.
But then
Mm-hmm.
God, it's like God hopped in here and he was moving through me. So I'm writing the lady
Mm-hmm.
back, and I'm like, if you would like to still chat, this time is available. I don't know if it works for you. Let me know when you have some
Right.
time. And she's like, oh, it does. It actually does work out. And I'm like, okay, I'm talking to
Mm-hmm.
the lady, but I ain't going to Greenville. But God's still typing for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I
Mm-hmm.
tell you, Mom, we had our first conversation not too long after that email was sent. The conversation
Mm-hmm.
maybe 10 minutes. Do you know, after me and this lady conversed, she goes, and the numbers we was talking was
Right.
what to be hearing. Okay. It was
Right.
more
Right.
than what I'm talking to my current job about, and they weren't even trying to get close to that. Okay.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
She said, let me work some stuff out. Would you, if I'm able to fly you out this evening or tomorrow, would that work for you? I said
Yeah.
it would, because just so long as I'm back by the weekend, because I
Uh-huh.
was feeling weekends at my last job too. And she said,
Right.
I think that range, give me a few minutes and I'm gonna call you back. Called me
Mm-hmm.
back. She called me back. She said, here's your flight reservation information. I'm
Right,
gonna pick
right,
you
right.
this evening. I'm gonna take you to dinner, and then after that, I'm gonna take you to a hotel. And then after in the morning, I'm gonna pick you up from the hotel. I'm gonna take you
Yeah.
to the you gonna audition. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna meet everybody under the sun, and then I'm gonna take you back to the airport so you have
Right.
to have a day in between before you got to go to your
Mm-hmm.
weekend. That work for you? I say absolutely, absolutely. So
Mm-hmm.
we did that. She took me back to the airport. By the time I got to the airport, she gave me an offer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so I say I'm liking what's happening. Okay,
Right, right,
but
right,
it's happening so fast. I say
right,
I
right,
need to communicate with my current job because I don't want to burn any bridges.
right,
So
right.
I want to be able to communicate with them what's happening so that way they have
Mm-hmm.
ample time to prepare for my
Right,
absence. Okay.
right.
Then once we do that, we can go ahead and move forward with the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to communicate with them first. That's fair to them. I
Right.
owe them. So I did that, and my job was very shocked.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
they were like, I got to be honest with you, I'm disappointed. And as if I wasn't disappointed when y'all threw pennies at me and thinking I
Right,
would
right,
accept the
right.
pennies. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but I say I understand where you're coming from, and we're just gonna make the most of the time that we have left. At this point, it was like 2, 3 weeks left because my contract ended on December 1st, and in my letter of resignation, I put that was gonna be my last day.
Right.
Um, so we just gonna ride it on out, and we're gonna go hard, just like I do every
Mm-hmm.
other day, and
Right.
make the. And I know the story is getting kind of long. I got to go do
Mm-hmm.
something in about 4 minutes,
Okay. Okay.
but I just want to encourage y'all to know that it's important to weather the storm.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
storms that come. There's going to be negativity that comes. There's going to be maybe some what do you call that, depression that comes along. I would
Mm-hmm.
just like to keep this in mind if those things come about for you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Lean on God the whole way through.
Yeah.
Always work
Mm-hmm.
and trust the process at the end of the day. If you do those three things, for me, they've worked out tremendously. That is my main thing when it comes to weathering the storm.
Mm-hmm.
Lean on God, do the work, and trust the process. And in the end, it will work out for you. It's all on God.
Amen.
We're not on my
Mm-hmm.
time. We're not on your time. We on God's time, which is the best
Right.
time. So keep all that in mind. And that's all I
Right.
got to say.
Well, guys, she just threw some lyrics in there. We gotta be on time for the best time because God is always on time. She throwed a couple bars in there. My sister left a comment up here talking about you need to sing. Her name is Lavette Ingram, and she's from Fort Pierce, Florida.
Well,
And she
shout out.
left a comment.
So
Yes.
I don't know what to sing. I'll just say I got about 2 minutes left on here before I got to go live on the camera. I got to go in the studio.
Okay.
They got me interviewing a WWE star. I don't know what we finna talk about, but I'm working like how I always do. Cause if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Yeah. Hopefully that.
Hey, Ashley, I appreciate you. Before you go, we got to do my closing and say,
Yes.
peace.
Come on, do it again now. I had to get ready for
Oh,
it.
you got to stretch. Okay, y'all.
Hey,
Ashley's going to be done on stretching, so we're going to do our closing. And I always leave and I always do this. Peace.
hey.
Peace. All right, Ashley, thank you. And I
No problem.
appreciate you.
Bye bye.
Bye. All right, guys. Our next week's guest is going to be Bob Yates. Bob Yates, the CEO and founder of Circle of Champions University. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be July 27th at 4 p.m. Bob Yates, Chief Executive Officer of Circle of Champions University, entrepreneur. You don't want to miss this great show. I truly enjoyed you guys. Thanks for watching. But I want to say this to you before we go. A lot of you know that I went to prison and I done 7 years in the state penitentiary. But I always learned that no one is beyond your reach. I reached Ashley Garrett by just simply asking her to come on the show. Nothing's too hard for God. Believe in yourself, believe in your dream. Only thing people can do is say yes or no. And she was kind enough to say yes. Every guest that I have had on this show that says yes because it was God ordained. Don't go by where you came where you were. Go by where you're at and where you're going. You can be successful. 7 years in the state penitentiary, went from the pit. Now I'm on solid ground going towards the palace. I believe in you. I believe that you can do it, and we will do it. Continue to watch Level Up. I'm your host, Wayman Daniels. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.